And after this panel concludes, we will bring candidates on for Council District 18. My name is Chris Widello, and I'm the Associate State Director for AARP here in New York City. I'd just like to let everybody know that we are live streaming tonight's debate, and we are also recording it, and we'll be disseminating it through social media and on our online channels. So we're here tonight to hear the candidates' positions on issues and how they will work within the city's ever-changing landscape. An important element of that landscape is New York's aging population. We expect a 40% increase in seniors between 2010 and 2040. That means there's a huge urgency to address the needs of an aging New York City. According to a recent AARP poll, the overwhelming majority of city voters 50 and older say they need more affordable housing, increased transportation, and increased adult daycare services. And more than 4 of every 5 want greater support for family caregivers so their loved ones can age safely in their homes. In order to create solutions, it's no longer enough for the city just to address the needs of aging New Yorkers in isolation, or just through the lens of the Department for the Aging. The city must begin integrating aging priorities through government across all agencies. To that end, AARP New York has launched a multifaceted, nonpartisan New York City voter engagement campaign. We're letting all the candidates know that New Yorkers want age-friendly policies across government that will help them and their loved ones age in place. This forum tonight is just one part of our voter engagement campaign. There will be other debates, get out the vote activities, and a lot of action to inform both the candidates and voters. If you want to get involved, you can learn more at action.aarp.org/NYC Vote 17. Or you can pick up a postcard on the table on the way out with that information. We appreciate all of you who have already gotten involved just by showing up tonight, and I'd also like to give our sincere thanks to the candidates for participating tonight, without which this education effort would not be possible, and it's great to have all the candidates from District 13 here. Next, I want to introduce our panel of esteemed reporters who will moderate tonight's forum. We have George Bodarky, News Director at WFUV, Aaron Clark, Bronx reporter at New York One, and Nick Powell, Opinion Editor at City and State. We're so glad to have them here asking questions. So just a quick overview on how tonight will go. Candidates will introduce themselves from left, that's the person closest to me, to the far right of the stage for the audience, and they will answer questions in a rotating order. Each candidate will have an opportunity to answer every question. Remarks will be limited to 60 seconds, and each district debate will run about 55 minutes, and we hope to cover a lot of ground tonight. With that said, candidates, I invite you to introduce yourself and tell us how you will address issues important to older New Yorkers in your opening statement. So with that, I will kick it off.
Egidio Cimitelli. Do you hear me? Doug? Egidio Cimitelli. Thank you for inviting us here. Thank you for everyone to be here. I feel at home. I'm the oldest candidate, so although I'm not ready to apply for AARP, but I'm getting there. And I guess that's more important than we have. I wanted to let you know, I don't feel confident that the New York City Council, as is, would do anything about seniors. 2016, COLA gave seniors 0. What did they give the City Council? The City Council gave themselves a $36,000 increase, while seniors received 0 on their COLA. 2017, $5. $5 an increase. So seniors, don't expect anything from this City Council. Seniors are not a priority in this administration. There are a priority of progressive ideas that are basically on the verge of insanity. Communism, socialism, not applicable, and not what reality of what seniors face every single day. So having said that, thank you. I'm a resident of Pelham Bay for over 40 years, close to 40 years, let me say that. It sounds a lot, but 40 years in Pelham Bay, and it's an honor to be here. Thank you once again.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you very much, AARP, for having me here. We are in an economic crisis. The stock market crashed, and healthcare, Medicaid shifts when you become an adult. My mother struggles paying for her medical bills, struggles paying for her rent, struggles to survive on a day-to-day basis, and she's a 7-year-old woman. Many of our citizens are struggling, and the economy is doing horrible, and has been doing horrible. I haven't heard any of rent rolls going down, they're going up. 20 years ago, when I had my son, a one-bedroom apartment was $500. 2017, and same apartment is worth $1,200. Healthcare has gone up drastically. And so, I want to address these issues and provide legislation at the city council level to secure the adults, especially the veterans, Vietnam vets, older people, and I will be here to fight for them 100% and provide legislation for them. Thank you.
Thank you all for having us here today. My name is John Doyle. I want to thank the AARP for conducting this forum and our hosts here. They're a great advocacy group for the seniors of this area. We have many AARPs throughout this district. I've visited with nearly all of them. And the work you're doing can be seen on the ground, so you should take pride in being part of such a great organization. Again, the work we do for our seniors is critical. My parents are both approaching the age of 62. I'd like to remind them that they'll soon be senior citizens. They don't like that I remind them of that, but I do. And you know, I think this debate's personal for us all because we're all going to eventually reach that age. And you know, I have the experience of not just being a candidate for public office, but both of my grandmothers lived out their senior years in this district. My one grandmother lived on Gillespie, the other grandmother on Pelham Bay, the other lived on Lafayette with Rogsneck. And the experiences they had, the difficulties they had, the sacrifices my parents made to take care of them shaped the person I became. Again, I know firsthand what it's like for a loved one to get stuck, with accessorized and be left at that doctor's appointment. And the rest of the family, someone having to leave their job at the drop of a hat to go pick them up. I know what it's like for the neighborhood stores to be leaving the neighborhood. On City Island, we just lost our pharmacy. Again, real estate greed is stamping out a lot of our communities. I know what it's like for seniors not to have adequate transportation services. I've worked on that in this district. And again, I know it's like not to have enough senior housing. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Marjorie Velasquez and thank you for coming out today. Thank you for hosting tonight's event. As you know, we are running for District Council seat 13, currently held by Council Member Jimmy Baca, who I've had the pleasure of earning his endorsement. And for me, it is an honor because of the work he has done for our seniors. Every year, his funding has always increased. Every opportunity that he can, he increases the funding for our senior centers and our senior programs. And that's what we need to focus on and continue. And not only that, for me, it's also very true and real with the healthcare challenges that we face here as a country and then locally here for our seniors. For me, I had 2 major accidents that really derailed me and set me back. And seeing firsthand the red tape, the bureaucracy that goes on for my own recovery, having access to doctors, to lawyers, being bilingual, and yet being faced with all these setbacks, it's fighting back. And that's the reason why I'm running. It motivated me to help any way I can and to give a voice to those who are voiceless. So it's whether it's senior housing, whether it's transportation, whether it's affordability, we are here. And I want to continue the legacy of Mr. Baca and create my own path in making sure that the budgeting that I have knowledge with and that me as an accountant have a lot of experience with is carried forward. So thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for having this event for us tonight. Thank you to AARP. My name is John Serini. I am the only Republican running in this year's race, so I will not be at the primary in a couple of weeks. I will be going directly to November. I am also an accountant. I've taken over my father's family business, which was started in 1974. I took it over in 1993. We have an office in Broad's Neck section. I'm a father of 4. I've been together with my wife for 30 years. I'm proud of the accomplishments that we've done in our community. But as an accountant, as it relates to AARP, I see firsthand how senior citizens are mistreated, how they've recently lost their real estate tax exemptions for seniors. Social Security income has not been increased in years and years, yet the cost of living increase continues to go up. So we need a representative in City Hall that's going to be the representative for everyone, including senior citizens. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Mark Jonai, and I want to thank you all for being here and thank AARP for hosting tonight's event. I'm going to ask that everyone take a moment to keep in our prayers and our thoughts not only the victims of the Texas hurricane, but what we expect to be in Puerto Rico. Those families and individuals out there, I will be praying for them and ask that you do the same. For the last 4 years, I've served in the Assembly more than 125,000 people. I've served them, and during that time, realized that most of the issues are local issues. It's about litter, graffiti, crime, safety, education, potholes, and streetlights. The reason I went to City Council is so I can better address these issues, come up with real solutions to real pain and issues that impact this community. I know that in the City Council, I'll bring the experience, not only from the legislation, the relationships that I've developed in Albany, but also through my own career in small business. The community has lots of needs. I always been quoted as saying, you can only get out of a community that what you put into it. This country, this borough has been good to me and my family, and public service has been the most humbling and rewarding experience of my life, and I'm looking forward to giving back. Thank you.
So I think with that, we'll move on to our first question, which is a growing number of New York City residents 50 and over are now faced with caring for aging loved ones. What support can and should the New York City Council provide to support those individuals and to make sure older New Yorkers can age gracefully in their homes?
More funding? Absolutely, more funding. City Council just passed $84 billion, $84.7 billion budget. We have not increased police officers, we have not increased fire, any of the uniforms. We did increase one thing, we increased traffic agents. We will receive this year 500 new traffic agents. For what? I don't know, maybe revenue scheme? We need to allocate money. Unfortunately, our society is a very strange society. We'll clean our dogs, clean after our dogs, we'll wash them, we'll sleep with our dogs. But if we have parents that at a time, that need to have their possibly diapers, or if they're soiled to be cleaned, we don't want to do it. Our society does not want to do it. We want someone else to do it. People that do that work are getting minimum wage, and not even benefits. They don't even have coverage. So those strangers that go into these houses and take care of your parents, while people are up in Westchester County or Long Island. Thank you. You got the test, I believe.
As your next city councilman, I think I'm the only one that's going to provide legislation to create a task force. Now that task force is very important. It's going to be able to protect our adult seniors from abuse, from other family members, from abuse of the system. We also need to educate ourselves as city council members of what are the current problems occurring with adults. And we need to find ways to make sure that we support these issues. I mean, right across my way on East Tremont, we have a project system whereby the roof in the senior citizen buildings is leaking. The tiles are not being rebuilt. The maintenance of those buildings in the senior citizen buildings is horrendous. And as a city council member, I will provide that task force and have that task force report to the legislation, to the legislators of city council to let them know what's going on in our senior buildings across the city. Thank you.
Very good question, because we're all going to have to deal with this. Eventually, we're all going to have to be caremakers for the people who one day in the past cared for us. Again, we need to expand services like Bronx Casa, which provides home care and daycare for ailing parents. We also need to make sure we're investing in our casework management system, so for the people who don't have children, that someone is there to care for them. We'll be judged as a society by how we treat the most vulnerable. That's what we have to do. We have to make sure that we're funding those things. We have to make sure we build on some of the progress that's been made in the last few years with paid sick leave, and as well as flexible schedules, particularly as we move over to more chain real estate, stores types, where they can actually fit in some of this flex scheduling and make it fairer for the workers. We need more assisted living and the support that comes with assisted living, because a lot of these seniors are very fearful about giving up their independence. So we need to transition them into housing where they're not giving up their full independence, but someone is there to help them if they need it. And then finally, we need to make sure that we're investing in our programming, which happens at both our senior centers and our libraries. I'll keep those priorities in mind in the council.
Thank you. For me, I've seen a lot of seniors that are super active. When we're looking at, I've met a lady, 93 years old, and she's still working. But it's also making sure that a person can afford where they stay, that they don't have to decide between their medicine and the roof over their heads. And what we're looking at is making sure that their rents are controlled at an appropriate rate, and that means freezing it at their net income. That's the first priority. When we're looking at these vacancy decontrol, we're making sure that landlords don't have an incentive to remove our most vulnerable out of their homes. It's making sure that we are protecting not only where they live, the accessibility of where they can get their medicine. When we're looking at City Island, as John mentioned earlier, there is no pharmacy. There is no urgent care. So how do we get to them? It's actually, that's one of my priorities, having an urgent care with a pharmacy on City Island, so that way our seniors don't have to call an ambulance to try to make it to the ER when they literally can address the issues right there with urgent care. That's where we start. Thank you.
So, unfortunately, I'm one of the candidates that have had experience where my parents were in the nursing facilities. My father had his right leg amputated due to diabetes and spent about 8 months in Providence Rest nursing home. And I can tell you that one of the side effects of being in the nursing home, obviously having your right leg amputated, you lose your independence, you lose who you are, and you become very depressed. So one of the things that we need to do is we need to make sure that our seniors have the proper mental health care. As an accountant, I want to suggest that we do some type of tax credits, not a tax credit where you have to pass a threshold of medical expenses. So if your parent lives in your house with you and you have to get a wheelchair lift, you should be able to deduct 100% of that wheelchair lift, because without that, your parent can't live with a good quality of life. Currently, you'd have to pass 10% of your income, and that's even if you can claim your parent as dependent. But if your parent's income is too high, you can't claim your parent as dependent, and therefore can't claim the medical deduction. So we need to change these things, that if we're the caregiver, we need to be able to deduct the medical expenses to improve our homes. Thank you.
This is a great question. I'm fortunate to still have my grandfather with us. He's 94 years old. Lost my father a few years ago, so I understand the importance and the difficulty of going old and being ill. It's all about affordability, making sure that we can improve handicap accessibility, improving on what we've done in the state, the SPRE bill, the SHE bill, and the settlement conference that we allowed for reverse mortgages. In City Hall, I will be working on not only improving the conditions and affordability for all of our senior aging population, but also coming up with a consumer advocate for utilities that will work on water and sewer, electric, gas, as well as mandatory reporting of elder abuse, both financial and physical. Our elderly population are the most vulnerable that we have. They're at a point in their life where they should be enjoying their golden years. Unfortunately, the insecurity has not allowed them to prosper and enjoy their retirement ages. Their Social Security and pension cannot keep up with the growing costs in real estate taxes and water and sewer.